Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Ajit, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the motif of morality. Not each and every person in this group has contributed an equal amount in terms of content within the presentation. So let me introduce each person. We have Yao Sai, Brandon Bay, Aaron Su, Basel, and me, Ajit. Okay, now without further ado, let's get started. Now before we understand what morality is, we must first define it in its simplest terms. Morality is defined as the principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong or good and bad behavior. It can be a body of standards or principles derived from a code of conduct from a particular philosophy, religion, or culture, or it can derive from a standard that a person believes should be universal. Now, to start things off, we're going to talk about our personal novels that we read in the beginning of the semester this year. And again, these are a few books that portray the motif of morality. We're going to start off with mine. Yay. All the Truth That's in Me is the title, written by Julie Galinda of Julie Berry, and it was published in 2013, so not too long ago. And it's about a girl named Judith, disappearing 4 years before, who returns home mutilated and ignored by the townspeople. She keeps her deep thoughts to herself in a journal to her love interest, Lucas. But one day, the town is attacked, and she's forced to choose between staying silent and recovering her voice, even if it means changing the lives of those around her forever. The novel relates to the motif of morality in that there may be a time, a dilemma, when one might need to choose between keeping quiet or revealing information that could be detrimental to others. Judith expresses herself and portrays an example of this theme as she says, "I don't believe in miracles, but if the need is great, a girl might make her own miracle, even if that means enlisting the devil's help." In this quote, Judith is referring to how she must break her silence and reach out to the antagonist, Colonel Whiting, in order to save the one that she loves the most, Lucas. The second novel is Basel's. The title is Mistborn, written by Brandon Sanderson, published in 2006. Okay, the story is about a street urchin who is extremely powerful, but she doesn't know it. With her mentor and his gang of thieves, she takes down the immortal god king of the empire. Now, how this relates to the motif of morality? There is a moral issue in the book about how killing a person because he's an enemy is wrong just because they're fighting for the empire, which is tyrannical. The third book, this is Brandon's. It's No Good Deed, written by M.P. MacDonald, published in 2013. Okay, the story is about American ethics after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Mark Taylor, the narrator of the novel, is captured, revoked of basic human rights, and led to a black site prison due to his connections leading up to the terrorist attacks. This connects to the motif of morality in that there comes a time when one must take the decision of sacrificing one person, good or bad, for the welfare of others. The fourth novel, this is Yao's. Good Omens is the title, co-written by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, so we got two authors here. Published in 1990, well before we were born. The story is about when the Antichrist got misplaced and he ended up with no religious affiliation. This results in the apocalypse not being the end of the war. How this connects to morality? Well, the story shows how nobody is born with a specific morality and that all moral sense is taught, not innate. Lastly, we have Aaron's novel, 1984, written by George Orwell, published in 1949, but written in 1948. The story is about a man named Winston Smith who tries to defy a totalitarian government in a post-apocalyptic London. This connects to the motif in that the government of which Winston tries to oppose uses immoral methods like torture to brainwash someone into following party philosophy. They essentially disregard any sense of humanity towards those under them. Okay, now we're going to move on to short story and class novel that we chose best fit our motif. Again, it's brief prose that portray the motif of morality. The first short story is A Good Man Is Hard to Find, written by Flannery O'Connor, published in 1953. The quote that we found best suited our motif is the following. "Maybe he didn't raise the dead," the old lady mumbled, not knowing what she was saying and feeling so dizzy that she sank down in the ditch with her legs twisted under her. This quote is significant because it's an example of moral anti-realism. Currently, there are two main moral theories, realism and anti-realism. Realists believe that situations can be true or false, whereas anti-realists believe moral statements can fail to report objective moral facts and that good or bad is an opinion. Class novel that we chose, coincidentally, is 1984. We understand that this is all a coincidence, but Aaron chose this novel as well for his personal novel reading. But again, the author is George Orwell, published in 1949, written in 1948. The quote that we found is the following. Now I will tell you the answer to my question. It is this. The party seeks power entirely for its own sake. We are not interested in the good of others. We are interested solely in power. Pure power. What pure power means, you will understand presently. We are different from the oligarchies of the past in that we know what we are doing. All the others, even those who resembled ourselves, were cowards and hypocrites. The German Nazis and the Russian communists came very close to us in their methods, but they never had the courage to recognize their own motives. They pretended, perhaps even believed, that they had seized power unwillingly and for a limited time, and that just around the corner there lay a paradise where human beings would be free and equal. We are not like that. We know that no one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it. Power is not a means, it is an end. One does not establish a dictatorship in order to safeguard a revolution. The object of persecution is persecution. The object of torture is torture. The object of power is power. Now you begin to understand me. Now, this quote is significant because it shows how, instead of living under a government that actively acts upon the welfare of people, Winston lives under one that undermines moral principle, using tactics like torture. They do so for the sole purpose that everyone stays in line with what the government wants. And our last section is connecting to morality. It's morality's prevalence in our world today. So we have Bossel taking care of the first article, the evidence of morality in today's world. Even though we are somewhat losing our sense of morality, there is evidence that people still have a moral code. Two such examples are a college football star who has become a good friend with a middle school student with autism. The other example is a foster father who only takes in terminally ill children and cares for them as they are his. Next up, we have the current issue pertaining to morality. Our current issue is that everywhere in Russia, morality is completely subverted. Examples of which include concentration camps for gay people in Chechnya, the 38 random murders, most likely directly orchestrated by the Kremlin, such as diplomats, critics of Putin, whistleblowers, etc. Support of Assad, Syrian leaders convicted of multiple war crimes. It might be thought that such examples of persecution were, of course, rather frequent in the distant centuries, and must not be taken too seriously, since they come in times before men had learned to respect one another's opinion, and to realize that the assertions of an authority in science are only to be considered as worth the reasons he advances for them. Most people will be quite ready to congratulate themselves on the fact that our modern time has outlived this unfortunate state of mind, which served to hamper scientific investigation. They will probably even be quite self-complacent over the supposed fact that, ever since the study of natural science was taken up seriously at the end of the 18th and beginning of the 19th century, this unfortunate temper has disappeared. Those who think so, however, know nothing of the history of 19th century science, and especially not of 19th century medicine. Jenner's great discovery of the value of vaccination against smallpox came just before the 19th century opened. It met with the bitterest kind of opposition. This was especially the case in England. There's a doubt whether Germany did not eventually do more to bring about the recognition of the immense value of Jenner's discovery than his own native England. Anyone who has read Jenner's life knows how much he was made to suffer from the bitterness of opponents' expressions with regard to him. It is true that he was eventually rewarded quite liberally, and that honors were showered upon him, but only after a preliminary series of trials that must have made him regret, if possible, that he had ever devoted himself to the propaganda of a great truth. Nor did the dawn of vaunted 19th century bring a better state of affairs in this regard. James J. Walsh, The Popes and Science, 1908. And last but not least, we have the Song of Morality. Our song of choice is Crossfire, written by Stefan. I will place the lyrics up here. The first verse is, he traded his guns for love, but he's caught in the crossfire. And he keeps waking up, but it's not to the sound of birds. The tyranny, the violent streets, deprived of all that we're blessed with. And we can't get enough? No. Heaven, if you sent us down, so we could build a playground for all the sinners to play as saints. You'd be so proud of what we've made. I hope you got some better beds around, 'cause you're the only refuge now. For every mother, every child, every brother that's caught in the crossfire. That's caught in the crossfire. I trade my luck to know why he's caught in the crossfire. And I'm here waking up to the sun and the sound of birds. Society's anxiety, deprived of all that we're blessed with. We just can't get enough. No. And the chorus repeats, can I trust what I'm given when faith still needs a gun? Whose ammunition justifies the wrong? And I can't see from the back seat, so I'm asking from above. Can I trust what I'm given, even when it cuts? The chorus repeats again, and the song ends. Again, it's a good idea to see the lyrics without the music, so you get a better sense of the meaning of the song objectively, without the song and the tune to distract you. The significance of the song is that it seems as if the artist pities people sent to fight in wars that are killing innocents and promoting hate, which in turn breeds more resistance. The artist feels lucky to be in a place where he can wake up to the sound of birds instead of in a place where he's woken up by the sound of gunfire. The artist also pities the innocents caught in the gunfire. Crossfire connects with morality not only because it's centered around guilt, but also because we often don't help those who look to us for help, those who need our help the most. Alright, thank you so much everyone. That wraps up our presentation. We hope you guys had fun, enjoyed, and learned something from this, and we'll see you next time.